good way of putting it. The week is here, and couldn't be more excited. Two excellent opportunities. Hopefully the weather on Derby days is beautiful as the last 2 days. Everything goes smoothly.
What do you think about both of them? How do they look?
I just very excited about both of these horses and the fact that their last race is their best race to date, and I feel very comfortable with both of them going 1.25 miles.
I know we ask you every year.
Right.
We always feel bad asking, but we're still waiting for you to get your first.
It is. I love being in this position as far as having the opportunities that we do. It would be sad if I was on the outside looking in, but here we get another opportunity. Yesterday, the draw, I was extremely, pleased with where they got, and obviously was anxious and excited to see what numbers that they would be. So it's a tremendous feeling, and I feel blessed to be a part of it.
Do you feel like things are falling into place when they actually draw good posts and right by each other? So
it's how easy things have been with them. They shipped in well. They'd spent time here last fall. It feels like you're the home team, and you just let it come to you. I think that both horses have been beautifully relaxed in the morning, nice and loose, traveling extremely well, handling well, and feel good about themselves. So, all of those indicators make everybody in the barn smile.
Over the years, as this kind of comes and goes, and you've been in this place a lot, does your approach and your mental approach have evolved as you've kind of grown into it?
I very much so. I think from the anxiousness of it, to the defensiveness of it, to how I think you get a little, more white hair. You realize how blessed we are to have ever had the opportunity, and to think that we get to do it again is unbelievable. Obviously, I come from a racing family, and to be able to share the excitement, still with my parents as well as Julie and the boys, and it's the topic of conversation easily to put. Yeah.
will your boys be here, or do they have to ride?
No,
at
they
Oaklawn?
both of them. That's different. Both of them will be riding at Oaklawn on that day, but they're definitely a part of it.
Is your wife happy she doesn't have to pick between rooting for you or rooting for her?
No,
son?
it's. I think that obviously, Julie's an incredible person and stuff. Just how anxious she is for you and stuff, for me, and just wanting it to happen. But having her, we're a winner every day.
Keith was awesome last year. Just interviewing him. How's he doing?
He's doing extremely well. He couldn't be any more proud of the boys and who they are and the young men they're becoming.
A lot of character to run a maiden in a race, but he's kind of earned his way in.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was funny. It kind of came up, about a maiden in the race. Well, they weren't going by wins; they were going by points. Everybody knows what it takes to get here, and he's earned his points to get here, and obviously deserves the chance.
What did you think the blinkers did for him?
Well, they made him faster. just I love that about it. They write down what you do. If it's in black and white, it's true. And his fastest race to date was with blinkers on.
At what point with a horse like him do you just say, look, we're not going to screw around with maiden races anymore. This horse is good enough. We're just going to go on with it.
I think that it goes back to right now, the 2-year-olds that are coming into the barn now. You have what are Derby prospects. I think that he was identified as a Derby prospect when he came into the barn, simply pedigree, conformation, how he traveled, all of that. And then he is a laid-back horse that I've always wanted him to just weigh a little more, be a little bigger. So didn't overdo it early with him, and that's the situation. I think that some of the horses that you get in and stuff that feel like are one-turn horses or mature horses, you're just considerably more aggressive with them from the bat. But this was the target with him from last year, and when the races came up and the points were necessary, we would put him in those positions, and like Dave said, he's earned his way here.
Steve, you're one of the veteran guys, but Wayne is, I think, 30 years older than you.
I love that. Did you like what they with the draw yesterday? Is 51st.
Can you imagine when you're 89 still getting on a horse and being out here every single day?
No, there's only one Wayne. There's only one Wayne Lucas, and how he has changed and evolved the sport back in the day to the fact that he's still doing it as effectively as he is now. Like we talk about a room of one, he's in a room of one.
Forgive me for not knowing, but could you explain why you like their post positions? Being out there, what is it?
I think for who they are, needing some pace. I think that the way that the whole field's unfolded, it appears to me, the 1, 2, 4, 20, all have pace, and that common sense wise says forces your hand, forces their hand a little bit, and I think that it's quite obvious with 2 deep closers, the faster they go early, the better chance we have.
You're a great trainer. You've had so many great horses
Appreciate
and so many
compliment.
big races. Do you still wonder, like, is there a Derby out there for me?
No, I think that goes way deeper than that. Of all the races that we've won, how have you not won this one? Especially with the opportunities. It's I appreciate you starting it off with a great trainer, but I'm still the same guy who got Curlin and Gunrunner beating the Derby. It's an event. I think that just earlier question how you feel now as opposed to how you felt early in the Derby. And you watch so many things that unfold, and I don't think anybody's ever deserving of winning the Derby, but the circumstances surrounding it, and it'll come when it should.
Do you go back and think back of, like, how you said Curlin not winning the Derby or Gunrunner not winning the Derby?
Yeah, I mean, it just simply didn't happen that day. I mean, it's 2 years ago with Epicenter, feeling that he was absolutely the best horse in the race going in, and he got beat because Lucas scratched and Rich strike. I mean, like, just such odd scenarios. It was meant to be. It's I think something this special shouldn't come easy. And how I feel about it, it should be this hard to get.
Matt Hard in magnitude was going to.
I'm sorry?
Speaking of hard, it had to be hard, obviously, to lose magnitude earlier in the spring. How's he doing, and is there a little bit of a sadness that you're not sending him out there?
No, I think that Magnitude was a horse that we felt was Epicenter special early, and his races didn't live up to it. And then when he finally ran in February, like we were expecting him to run last June or July, was satisfying in as he does have that level of ability. Did not come out of it 100%, and being so fortunate to train for Winchell's, no question to always do exactly what we feel is right for him and give him the time. But there's nothing but excitement about having a horse that is capable of running 108 Beyer February of their 3-year-old year that time will help. So I mean, we're so excited about who we expect him to be later this year and into his 4-year-old year.
Where is how far along
He's here. He's back in the barn here. He came back in here. He went to Becky Maker's for rehab afterwards, and when we brought the barn to Churchill, I think we were set up one day. Second day, he shipped over and has been in the barn since.
What's did he start training?
I think ideally, it's with him. It's keeping him from doing too much too soon. I mean, he looks like a slinky when he goes, and he's always wanting to do more than I think that he should do at this point. But ideally, I'd get one run inning before the Travers.
Can you describe looking back at yourself, how you behaved first time you were here in this race, and thinking of who you were then?
Man, that's a tricky question. How I behaved.
How you?
I
don't mean it that way.
Like
As a
behaving,
trainer.
yeah, behaving. Yeah.
Fair question. Fair question. Fair question.
No,
Who was your first Derby horse?
50 Stars. 50 Stars. He was a Louisiana Derby winner. Monarchos' Derby, I think, was it.
Just how you felt, what your attitude was. I guess I don't mean your off court behavior. If you will.
I don't think like my first like Derby feeling. It's well documented that my family and Lucas's and stuff, and I remember the first graded stakes win we ever had was, I believe, '96 with a horse named Valid Expectations in the Derby trial the week before the Derby, and it was when where the stakes barn used to be up, and then up in the middle there, and we had Darren shipped him in, and he won the Derby trial, opened it Saturday, every day the Derby's the next day, and beyond proud and excited, and we walk up to the racetrack and are watching the Derby horses, and Lucas rode up, and he told me, I've known him my whole life, and he said, when you bring a horse for the Derby, don't forget to bring a pony, right? So you can step away and have a minute to yourself, and I thought, yeah, right, when I bring a horse to a Derby. So I think that when you're, when you've grown up in it and done it and stuff, and you realize, or you have a feeling of what the Derby has always meant to me, and I was dreaming and couldn't even imagine being a participant in it, and then to have this opportunity, it's simply a blessing. So, as far as attitude or just pure excitement.
You didn't really ask about Tiztastic. How is he coming up?
Oh, he's doing extremely well. I thought he looked beautiful over the racetrack this morning. Pretty generous for him, wanting to go somewhere. Came back into the barn with very good energy. He's got a nice little pep in his step walking around the barn. And like I said, we're very excited about the possibility of being an extremely fast-paced race and feeling like we have a horse that will appreciate every inch of a mile and a quarter. I think that, everybody talk breakout race being the Louisiana Derby, but if the Louisiana Derby would have been a mile and 16th, he'd have probably been 4th or 5th again. I think that the distance is what has put him in the position that he's in coming into the Derby.
Steve, you said that Publisher was the coolest horse anyone's ever gotten to train.
I mean, as far as coolest, he just unflappable. I mean, he's just as quiet and as peaceful and as kind, and you could walk him the wrong way 3 rounds, he would never lift his head or wonder how far you're going or anything. You turn him around and go the right way. The second you unsnap him, he's light on his feet and just somewhat actually aggressive when he goes the right way. But his patience, I don't think, cool may not be the right adjective for him and stuff. He's just laid back and has tremendous mental patience.
Do you think that kind of maturity is going to help him in the
Well,
adversity?
I think that is, we need him to get, ironically, we need him to get going a little quicker, just the first step. I think he's giving away more than, than he's overcome his first step away from there. And, it's put him in a position that he's having to try to get back something that he gave away so easily. But I think with the pageantry, 150, 160,000 people will be extremely happy with how much of it he saves for the race.
And how about with Irad on him? I mean, what the component there? I mean,
gets
him out.
You mean if he gets beat, it's not his fault, it's mine? Joe Rosario riding Tiztastic and Irad riding Publisher. We have a great chance, but and connections or whatever, however you want to do it. Like the opportunity to ride Irad on Publisher I loved it because Irad's first classic win was for me, Creator, so maybe a little payback. Give me my first Derby, because it's teamed well before.
Tiztastic clearly had those turf credentials at Kentucky Downs. He's so unique. Have you ever had a colt? 26 starters develop like this.
I think we just mentioned Creator, and Creator started on the turf. The financial opportunity that is available at Kentucky Downs is impossible to ignore. And when you look over the PPs and Tiztastic's earnings stick out, that's why he ran on the turf.
He's extremely hardy too. 8 days between those initial starts.
He's physically capable, and the fact that he is not overly generous, and it's kind of how he is in his works. He'll do what they make him do, but no more.